Hey everyone, Zach here. I'm not quite sure where the first season of Voltron Legendary Defender will lead, but the end is pretty fast approaching, having now seen the 9th episode, Crystal Venom. I've overall enjoyed the season, but this one might be a bit of a standout episode for me. Starts off overall pretty comedic, pretty sweet, but then gradually gets more intense, dramatic, and in the end, a bit heartbreaking actually. Little background on this concept in the series, since I didn't mention its first appearance, unfortunately. Allura's father, King Alfor, sometime before his death, he copied basically his consciousness and memories into the Castle of Lions. And for overall guidance, or just sort of revisiting that part of her life, she can interact with a holographic version of her father, and in sort of a virtual reality environment, sort of like Jor-El in the Fortress of Solitude plus Star Trek holodeck. She visits the usual simulation, sort of an Altean meadow that I guess they often visited when she was young. But she's still in a pretty weakened state overall from the previous episode during the rejuvenation ceremony for the Balmera. But connecting to that with the similar tech that was used to copy Alfor's consciousness to the castle, they hope that they can interrogate the suspended, cryo-frozen Sendak to try to get any answers from him that can be useful in defeating the Galra Empire. And eventually it takes a really long time, to the point that even Coran can't stick around, but Shiro keeps watch and hopes to get some answers. But very soon things start malfunctioning across the castle, in, like I said, from starting pretty humorous to dangerous. Pigeon, Hunk are sort of pinned down by a malfunctioning food dispenser tube. Lance is momentarily force frozen in a cryopod that he's cleaning. But then Keith can't verbally tell a fighting simulation robot to stand down due to the fight being over. It gets very serious about wanting to apparently end the duel on its terms. Then Lance nearly gets sucked out of an airlock, but thankfully both he and Keith's problems are solved when the robot gets sucked out into space and Keith manages to rescue Lance. Shiro is continuously soon taunted and becomes conflicted when he does start communicating with Sendak, but it's uncertain if it's actually openly, audibly communicating with him, or if it's more like a probe into his mind through his Galra prosthetic arm, and with the general basically saying, you don't fully remember your time in our custody, you have been changed by us. That arm is a symbol of it. You are a monster amongst the paladins of Voltron. And basically in the hopes of getting that voice to go away, Shiro actually ejects the cryopod. Unfortunately, not really any strategic information gained from those interactions, but I'm guessing some scout ship or something from the Empire will locate Syndak and again replace his arm, even, so he might be a threat in the finale or later on in the series once more. Then the malfunctions keep on going. There's even another kind of light one, but I think realistically pretty serious. While Hunk and Pidge are examining the Galra crystal that was used to corrupt the castle when it was under their control, the artificial gravity in the room is switched off. And unfortunately, that seems that between the Galra's corruption of it and the weakening of the castle through the rejuvenation ceremony, it's basically been corrupted to the extent that, like, the castle systems are more loyal to the Galra Empire and are outright trying to get rid of all the people aboard. And the pretty emotional stuff is realized when, I guess, is sort of the most single advanced thing on the castle. It seems centered on the King Alfor AI, with it telling Allura that we can go to Altea, we can have things as they once were, and she sets course for supposedly her homeworld's location, but instead a star that seems minutes away from exploding and basically taking out its entire system. I'm assuming it's not really a direct mind control thing. I'm guessing with her weakened state and her occasional retreats into trying to forget her loss, her grief, that I'm guessing she was just much more open to suggestion. I mean, there were holographic interfaces that made her see what wasn't there, but Coran helps get through to her, and unfortunately she realizes that in order to get the castle back under their control, they have to disconnect the AI, apparently permanently. And symbolically that was shown really well, that she sort of mechanically disconnects it, but then she walks through basically a black room full of floating pictures of memories of her and her father. She basically, having to say goodbye to that life, understand it's in the past. If memory serves, in flashback stuff in the first episode, I think she did at least get to say goodbye to her father in life. But there's still the pain of having to do it again. Of having to just keep looking forward, understand that her people, her family, she's still there. There are new paladins. The castle still stands. Voltron can fight in their name. I think it would have been just a tiny bit more effective if there were a couple more scenes shown throughout the season of the Alpha AI. But even as is, it was very effective. The emotional aspect of it was still quite strong. Okay, so coming up is the 10th and 11th episode, probably has a two-part season finale. Not entirely sure where it's leading, but I'll soon find out. See you then.